Hey, bestie. Hey, boo thing. I am so glad that you are here. Okay, I'm coming begging. Okay, I'm coming begging because a friend in need is a friend indeed, right? Okay, so if you have not already taken care of these little tiny housekeeping things, I would love for you to do that now. All right, I need you to please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. I hope that by the end of the episode, at least you will have liked the video, comment in the comment section, and last but certainly not least, would you please share this episode with someone that you know would enjoy it also? It's coming up in mom of 4, plant mama of 7, music lover with a banging playlist, and 2 left feet. Entrepreneur of over 17 years, and though a professional, y'all, I'm still an around the way girl at heart. Earthy, eclectic, free spirit, a few piercings, and a few tats. Road trip lover, random as you fill in the blank. Living, learning, loving, praying, and laughing my way through this amazing adventure called life. And I am here to help you do the same. Hi, I'm Tiffany, and this is Life Unscripted. Welcome. Now, let's jump into this week's amazing episode created especially for you and yours. So, welcome everybody to another edition of Life Unscripted. I'm your girl Tiffany, and today I have 2 wonderful guests with us. Our first guest is Maisha Anderson, and the second guest is Wende Cosby. And we are going to be talking about living a holistic, alkaline, vegan type of lifestyle. And these 2 ladies are phenomenal with their approach to making an alkaline vegan diet, one that is appealing and just as delicious as the soul food or other things that we have grown used to coming up. So, welcome, ladies, to the show.
Thank you.
You.
I'm so glad to have you. So, first, I want to just kind of backtrack a little bit. And before we start talking about what you currently do, if you all both would just kind of speak to us about what your process was, what led you to the decision to become an alkaline, vegan, living type of person. Like, what got you there?
Well, I started off doing Daniel fast, and if anyone's not familiar with Daniel fast, it's kind of like vegan on steroids. With the Daniel fast, you are just pretty much eating anything from the earth. So, and no processed foods, no junk food, very, very strict. And I would do that just, kind of to, as a cleanse and, for clarity with my mind and my spirit. And then I noticed how good I felt after doing the Daniel fast. So then I started looking into the vegan lifestyle. And I wasn't one who transitioned automatically. It's something I did over time. So as a process, first I gave up dairy and I gave up eggs. And then I gave up pork and beef and chicken. I eventually just ate fish. And probably maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I just finally gave it all up and then went strictly to a vegan lifestyle.
I think that is awesome. What about your experience, Wende? What made you want to make the decision to transition to alkaline vegan?
Sure. So for me, very similar to Maisha, I did experience back in 2014 and 15, a church that I was a member of. Um, they did an annual fast. So I decided to fast from meats and dairies and processed sugars doing the Daniel fast as well. And that's when I got my first exposure to that type of eating lifestyle. And then when we fast forward to the end of 2016, I learned about my dad being diagnosed with cancer, unfortunately. And because when we think about Western medicine, they're only going to go so far with helping a person with or a patient with a chronic illness. So my mother and I, as well as my brother, we aggressively did research trying to figure out how can we approach this from a holistic standpoint, or approach his illness from a holistic standpoint. So during our research, that is where I was starting to learn about an alkalinized environment and an acidic environment. And sicknesses and diseases cannot thrive in an alkalinized environment. They can only thrive and be created in an acidic environment. So you ask yourself the question, what creates an alkalinized environment? An alkalinized environment is created by consuming your vegetables, your fruits, your grains, and your herbs. Acidic environments are created from your meats, your dairy, processed sugar. And when we think about cancer, cancer absolutely loves processed sugars. So once we started gaining knowledge around that, when we were able to get foods into my dad's system, we saw how his body was starting to respond in a positive way. But due to the fact that we did not have medical support, such as equipment that could help get the foods on into his system, like with IVs, we just couldn't get him built up. And unfortunately, we ended up losing him. And because of the knowledge that was gained in his death, it made me say to myself, enough is enough. I don't want to put my health in the hands of the medical field ever again unless I have a broken arm. So March 2017 is when I really just went hard with it. And, I learned about your Dr. Sabies and dove deeper. I, connected with a master herbalist, and he was able to show ways to care for the body from a holistic standpoint, and many other encounters I've had as well. And it's been great. The benefits that come with it, um, they have been awesome. The way I feel, it feels awesome. I feel like I eat with a purpose now versus eating just because I'm hungry. And I absolutely love it. There's nothing that can change my mind at this point. And again, COVID can come knocking on my door and it will politely be dismissed. And if I am one who happens to get the virus, I think because my immune system is so strong, it will not last. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it, or that's the beginning of my journey with it.
That was an awesome journey. Of course, my heart goes out with you having lost your father in the process. But it was an amazing thing that even with going through that, he introduced you in losing his life. He actually had you guys put in a position to where you could help save yours, eventually. So I think that was a beautiful thing from that story.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
yeah, certainly. And for me, I guess my next thing is what caused you guys, or what gave you the boldness to try new things when it came to the food aspect of it, because we know that living an alkaline vegan lifestyle, it is just that is a holistic lifestyle. So it doesn't really stop at the food. And I know most people, when they think about us eating in a certain way, in their mind, I think that they think we eat food that is like, tofu. I think they think that it's something that is just, that there's no good taste to it. I think they think that it's bland and boring, and we are restricted. What I love about you, Wende, and Maisha, I love following, of course, I know you both personally, but I love following you all on your social media pages. And when I think about someone who is vibrant in this particular way of life, immediately y'all come top of mind. But I think what I love most about you guys is that you are you try new things. I always see you all trying different recipes. I see you being very creative with the ingredients that you have, and that's a part. Even with me being as strong as I am in my holistic way of living, I don't play around with the food enough. I stick to what I have. My approach to eating has been that I will think about the foods that I loved before I, became alkaline vegan. And I think what I do is I try to find an alternative, to the food, the one way that I'm used to cooking it. Well, I'm trying to find healthier ways to do it, now on this side. But now y'all take things that y'all go to farmers market, y'all find y'all find things and then you're just tossing it up and it looks so beautiful. Wende, I love that make your food so beautiful and then you put it on a paper plate. I love that. Like, really, I love that you do that. Like, but this is all a part of, if Wende, that's just Wende, and I love that about you. So anyway, all that being said, the part that I have not gotten to that you all are at is that you have no fear in exploring and trying new things. So tell me about that. What got you guys so free in the kitchen that made you think, let me see what it tastes like if I do this with that. Let me see, because I'm not there in that part yet.
Well, I'll say when I initially transitioned to vegan, I had the same routine. I would pretty much do a smoothie for breakfast, for lunch a salad, and then for dinner it was usually like sweet potatoes, a veggie, and mushrooms. And I did that for about a month, and it got old really quick. So I went to Pinterest, believe it or not, and I looked up vegan dishes on Pinterest, or even regular dishes, and then I just found a way to veganize them. That's what I call it, veganize it. So instead of using meat, I might use mushrooms. Oyster mushrooms have become my favorite meat substitute. Chickpeas have also become my favorite meat substitute. And I just kind of play around with different recipes and put my own spin on it. Or yeah, I used to get the whole, oh, you're eating tofu or you're eating bean sprouts, and I'm like, no, I'm food. I season it like you season it. I'll bake it, or I'll throw it in my air fryer. But no, I like to eat real food. I'm not just eating tofu and
it does
salad.
And I know that Maisha, you and I both are single. Wende is married, and I know that 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 is I wouldn't say a struggle. So I was talking to a person. We were just kind of just getting to know each other or whatever, and he was being very intentional with the way he was eating for one reason. I was being very intentional with the way I was eating for another. So of course, I'm very intentional with the things I will eat and won't eat. Being that I'm vegan. He, on the other hand, was really big into, I don't know if he still is or not, but he was really big into the keto community. And so he's pounded on all the meat that he can get, and I'm just the opposite, like, oh my gosh. So the joke was that, I would never, like, if we ever were to date seriously or to get together, like he would say, I'm doing all the cooking because otherwise you'd be giving me, ass or whatever he used to say, and so I got to thinking about that. And I'm like, functioning in a marriage or a relationship with someone who, I guess I just, because to Wende's point, as far as doing the research for the health aspects of why we eat the way we eat, I guess for someone I love, I wouldn't want to give them something that I know is not healthy for them. Like, there was no way that I could see myself fixing a roast and potatoes and carrots anymore for someone. Like, I just wouldn't do it. And so I think on the relationship piece, that is something that I have to consider. I think I saw a little meme one time before. It was two people sitting across the table from each other at dinner, and the woman was like throwing a glass of water in the guy's face. It said, on his Black Planet, on his Black people meat profile, he said he's vegan, and the lie detector said that was a lie, and so when she saw that he really ate meat, she was mad and she threw water in his face or whatever. The point is, I wonder if, so for you, Maisha, with you being single, do you does it matter for you what the guys eat, or do you seek out people that have a similar lifestyle to yours? And Wendy, what about your husband? How easy was it for him to catch on? So will you all talk to me about that piece?
Well, for me, I'm kind of on the fence now because I've noticed when I talk to guys who do eat meat, it's that whole issue of, well, if things work out and we get serious, I want you to cook meat for me, or I've got to eat meat, or I'm not gonna switch over to vegan. And I'm thinking, I'm not here to switch you over. That's something that you have to want to do. But at
Mm-hmm.
the time, I also want to be with somebody who kind of aligns with me and what I eat. And, I've noticed, and I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but the men that I'm running into, they have some health issues. I'm hearing high blood pressure and
Mm-hmm.
diabetes. And I'm thinking, okay, you might actually want to look at changing your diet up a little bit. So now, when I'm with me finding or meeting, more guys who are having these health issues, I am kind of leaning towards probably, someone who is at least, plant based, or at this point.
Yeah. What about you, Wendy? How did your husband, was he on board immediately from the jump when you kind of began exploring an alkaline type of lifestyle, or did it take some convincing, or how did that go for you?
Oh, girl, it's still a work in progress. He was completely allergic to the lifestyle, and but he supported me. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that I wanted to do for myself, and obviously do for our 4-year-old. And at the time I started transitioning, she was a little over a year old. So she had just been introduced, not too long before that, to, solid foods. And she was already vegan and didn't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think that it's, so important to season your food. I still season my food hardcore, if you will, the way I did prior to switching to this eating lifestyle. I've always been big on making sure it's seasoned well and that it tastes good. And you can still do that same thing with, a plant based lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you make that food taste good, men are going to eat. I'll put that plate in front of him, and it's either you eat this or you go figure it out on your own this evening, because I've already done what I'm going to do for the evening. So I feel like that is the key. It's just making your food taste good, because I think a lot of people, like when you go, um, let's say someone calls themselves trying to cater to your eating lifestyle, or you go to a restaurant and they have some vegan or vegetarian options, they think that you don't want your food seasoned. I'm like, where's the
Mm-hmm.
sea
Mm-hmm.
salt? Can we get some sea salt, please, and some garlic powder? Like, come on, you all,
That's
let's
why
pull
I
this
love
together.
you.
And it's not supposed to be, bland. It's supposed to be something that you
Mm-hmm.
enjoy. So yeah, so that's where I am at concerning getting him to eat. um and then I think too, another thing, when you're trying to convince some of these gentlemen out here that, hey, there's nothing wrong with this, when you just indirectly talk about how this specific food does this for the body, that specific food does that for the body, as you're serving that plate, they're listening. Even though they have their noses turned up, they're still listening. And eventually, I think that they'll be open to a switch, or an 80% switch at some point. Like, I feel like my husband's really, really, getting there. I mean, he eats with me every evening, and you know I hear fewer complaints at this point. So I think when you sing out those benefits, it goes a long way.
Absolutely. And I'm with Maisha with, I've noticed, that guys are, kind of that I have, maybe have befriended over the last few years. Some of those health issues are coming up, Maisha. I agree. And I think so, to tie into what Wendy said, I know that one in particular, he was suffering from or dealing with high blood pressure.
but he had this little, little whatever it is this concoction he would come up with that would help him with that because with high blood pressure we know that it can also affect you in a sexual way as well and all this good stuff. So he had this little concoction that he would use when to help him out with his stamina or whatever there. So saying all that to say that they I think you're right, Wendy. They are listening, and on their own, they may be doing their own little research to some degree. And I feel like, in those kinds of cases, people pick and choose when they want to use something natural or holistic. Maybe they don't want the food, but they're looking up the herbs, trying to see what herbs going to help them with this or with that. So, and I do agree that it is a process and it is something that you unfortunately, like Maisha, with you, it sounds like you kind of started off just on the Daniel fast, and it kind of was like, I like how I feel. Let me try this a little bit more, or whatever. Wendy, in your case, it was more so something. Well, I guess one of the heightened points of this was due to a health situation, and so I think that a lot of people, if they do come to this, I think this particular generation, we are exploring it because of the exposure that it gets on social media and things like that. People in the generation that came before us, if they are transitioning to these things, it may be because of us being their children and we're talking them into it, or a health condition has, kind of been the primary reason why they're like, oh my gosh, I better cut out on this and that because a doctor is saying this and that's coming up in the labs. So while some are afforded the option of, I think I'll try this, some are like their backs against the wall. If I don't try this, it may mean a matter of life or death, So it was interesting. I think I remember when I very first started, I've never really been a big meat eater. Even as a kid, I never was into fried chicken. I've always loved the skin, like the skin, the chips of the skin or whatever. But I've never liked to bite into it. Just for me, the visual of it, thinking I'm eating into something that was once alive, it just I don't know. Every once in a while, I would have a hamburger. Overall, I just could never get into it. I could fix amazing like meatloaf and like I said, roast potatoes and carrots. I'm very good in the kitchen, just never liked it. But anyway, I think for me, when I just started seeing the health benefits of going all the way, alkaline vegan, I definitely, for me, and before I went all the way alkaline vegan, I was still, and I still do struggle sometimes with my carbs. You know, that was one thing that was the issue for me because I love my carbs. But I started watching this guy on YouTube. His name was, y'all may have heard of him, Herbalist Kareem. So there's herbalist Kareem is so he's obviously a master herbalist, and he has a YouTube channel. And his page, the channel is called Four Cycles of Life, and so he focuses on the body, and also he is a business guru. So some of his recordings and videos are speaking to business and teaching you how to do all that strategically. A big chunk of what he does is work in the arena of the health and the herbs and all this good stuff. So anyway, I remember one Saturday in particular, I was looking up like a video on something with him, and one video turned into another video, and before I knew it, it was hours that have gone by on a Saturday afternoon. I had paper and pencil, and I felt like I had been in school but wanted to be there. And I was like, man, why is it that they don't teach these things in school? Like he broke down, like like with Wendy, you're talking about how disease cannot live in an alkaline environment. It can only live in an acidic environment. And but he broke all that down and he explained what does that even mean, and how do you get your body in one state or the other, and all this, that, and the third. But you all will look at his video, and any of our listeners out there, if you would look up herbalist Kareem, Kareem, or the Four Cycles of Life, you just bring paper and pencil and be ready because you will not want to stop watching. Yeah, he's just that good. But anyway, I remember after seeing all that, because knowledge is power. After I saw all the things that he presented in his videos, I was completely convinced that this is
Mm,
to go. I've noticed that my weight has changed. Not so
yeah.
happy about that because I've always been just straight up and down. I've always been just thin as the wind. And I've always wanted to be a little curvy. And even after having, my first 2 or 3 kids, I still was straight up and down. The third child, I had a few extra pounds. The fourth one, I had a few extra pounds. Still never was really, really big. And so I kind of got used to just in the last couple of years putting on a few little curves or whatever. And as soon as I really got heavy in this alkaline vegan diet, and I hate to say diet because that's not like it's not a fad for me, but I've been doing it for since 2017. But anyway, I've lost weight and I don't like that part. So I try to, so sometimes I'll, like I say, I have this love affair with carbs. And so that's been one thing that's been a struggle for me to really just wipe all the way out. I'll do great with it. And then I'll just have a craving out the blue and I'll go back to them a little bit. But that's what kind of helps keep the pounds on me is the carb. Because otherwise, as long as I eat so well, naturally my body just doesn't keep the pounds on like I would like. So that's been my one little struggle with being alkaline vegan is that, those curves are gone.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
in closing, I want to wrap this up with just asking you both for your favorite recipe because I wanted to really highlight the fact that you all played around the kitchen and that you were not afraid of just different textures and different recipes and trying different ingredients. So could you both give me your favorite? Like if you were to just show off, what would you tell me a meal that you would prefer that you would prepare and give us how you would prepare it because I want people to know that just because we eat a certain way, as we mentioned earlier, it does not mean that we eat tofu and it does not mean that our food has to be bland. So give them something that's just good so that they can try it and be like, I might try this again. All right, whoever wants to go first.
I can go first. Well, actually, I'm getting ready to post once we wrap up my dinner today. This is one of my, I want to say, signature dishes that I have made for guests at the home, and they have raved about it. My husband and my daughter, they enjoy it, but it's just some spaghetti. Okay, so let me tell y'all what I do with the spaghetti. So I use whole wheat spaghetti. Sometimes when it's in stock, I'll use spelt flour spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
But today it was whole wheat spaghetti, and I tossed quinoa in with the spaghetti while it boiled just for some additional protein. But again, let's all remember protein is in all your vegetables. It's also in fruits, but you have higher content of protein in your grains. But I did that, and while I had that boiling, I chopped up red, orange, green bell peppers, red, also known as melanin onion, and I chopped up some bella mushrooms and
Mm-hmm.
tomatoes. So I took all the vegetables there, put those in a little saucepan, added I use a clean spaghetti sauce. And kind of going back to what I mentioned earlier, a lot of times when you're trying to eat clean, there's not much seasoning. So when you think about your pregos and ragus that are out there, they have somewhat some seasoning or some taste to it. So with my sauces, I like to doctor them up with some heavy garlic powder. I add some sea salt to it, cayenne pepper. Agave is my best friend because I don't use sugar anymore. And honey is made by bees. So agave is your best friend, especially a raw dark one. And that's kind of where I like to, add that sweetness to my sauce. But oh my goodness, you put that all together, let it heat up lightly, just enough to heat the sauce. But I love a little bit of a crunch. But you let that go. Well, on the side, I had some steamed broccoli, and again, I lightly steam my vegetables because I love that crunch. There's just something about it. But I seasoned that up with some sea salt, cayenne pepper, some garlic powder, and grapeseed oil, and let that simmer for a little bit. But before you know it, and that's the beauty about this lifestyle, your food is done pretty quickly. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not like you're
Mm-hmm.
waiting on some chicken to fry, or you're waiting on your red meat to get well done. Like, your stuff is done, 20-30 minutes, depending on what you're cooking. But um I'm telling you, it's a home run, just because it's so flavorful. The vegetables give off so much flavor and so much, just life, that you enjoy it, and my guests enjoy it. It goes a long way. You can never go wrong with spaghetti, and that's one of my signatures that I thoroughly love.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. I'm gonna need you to send me the picture and the recipe because I think I want to post that for them. Like, that sounds so good. I saw your finds from the farmers market recently, and I would have been lost. I'm just gonna be honest, going to the farmers market and picking up some um, vegetables that I'm not used to working with, I've been
Hmm.
intimidated and I wouldn't pick them up. You have some things that I'm like, why made her buy that? And how did she know what to do with that? So that just sounds delicious. Okay, Maisha, you're up next, honey.
My go-to, I wouldn't call it a meal, maybe more of a snack, or I guess it could be a meal, is untuna. So it's tuna fish, and I get heart of palm, which you can find it at Walmart or at the Asian stores. It's usually like with the artichokes. Our Whole Food stores carry it too. I use heart of palm and chickpeas, and I blend those up, not too much, just to where they're kind of chopped up. I add celery. I'm sorry, not celery salt. I add celery, and then I add dill, Old Bay seasoning, and vegan mayo, and then I add a little black salt, which gives it like the egg taste.
Huh.
Mm, didn't know
And
that.
Really?
I like eating tuna fish.
Wow. So what do you do with that? Do you just do it with crackers or like what do you like?
It depends. Sometimes I'll put it on salad, like in a salad, and I'll just do like a
Mm.
tuna salad, a vegan version of a tuna salad, or you can do it on sandwiches or crackers, or just eat it straight out the out the bowl.
Really? So is that something that you kind of came up with just playing around with ingredients, or did you see that somewhere? Or well, that sounds y'all both came with some. I'm telling you all, y'all are killing it in the kitchen. Me myself, I need lessons right there. That sounds so good. Like, where'd you get that from?
Well, I'm in this group on Facebook. It's Black Vegan Beginners 101. And it's for people who are just starting out on the vegan journey, or kind of curious about it, and they have the best recipes in that group. And that's where, and I kept seeing untuna, and I'm like, you know what, I'm seeing this so much, let me try it out. But majority of the people who posted it, they use chickpeas. And
Okay.
I tried chickpeas with a curry dish, and I didn't quite like the texture um, for that. So I wanted something with a little more of a fish texture. And I just kind of, did some looking on Pinterest for something that I could substitute the chickpeas for, and then I found the heart of palm, and I use both
Really?
chickpeas to give it protein, and the heart of palm to give it the texture.
I have
Whew.
never even heard of heart of palm. Like, just being very transparent, I haven't. I have got. I'm very strong. I'm very strong when it comes to herbs. Finding alternatives to things you can do to treat, a headache or swelling or blah 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 blah, blah whatever. I take certain vitamins and supplements every day and drinking all this water, all these other things. But the one thing that I'm not strong at is in the kitchen. So you guys literally today have really inspired me to go a little harder right there. Now, I am not big on Pinterest because it's like a black hole for me. It's like when I get on Pinterest, one thing will lead to another thing, will lead to another thing, and I feel like I will never get off there. It's not like there's no end in sight. So I shy away from getting on there, but everybody goes on Pinterest for ideas and whatever it is they need. So I have to figure out a way to do that, but in a way that's not going to keep me on there too long or get into this big loop that I can't get out of, because I have got to set my game up when it comes to this food piece. Like I have my same 5 or 7 things that I do, and then that's it. So you all have really got me like, okay, I got to do better with this. But if you all will share with me, if you have a picture or a recipe for these. I would love to share this with the audience. And then I know that you both have personal pages, so I don't really want to have people following you on your personal page. But you mentioned, Maisha, that a page that you would suggest that they may get involved in would be the Black Vegan Beginners 101. Wende, is there, as we're wrapping up, is there like a certain social media page or book or anything at all that you would recommend for the listeners to kind of seek out as they may explore a vegan lifestyle more so for themselves?
Yes, well, everyone's welcome to follow me on Instagram. I've actually started turning up on Instagram, getting that going. So it's
Yes.
public. And my username is Miss M, S as in Sam, Wende, WENDE 2000. And some of the groups I like following on Facebook is Dr. Sabi, Alkaline's Recipes. I am a fan of Chef Aki, and that's
Yes.
AHKI. She's on Instagram as well as Facebook. Um, Yada is another one I like following, YADA.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So they are excellent. And, just kind of going back to what you were just kind of talking about, Tiffany, where it's just like, okay, have some meals that, I kind of work with, but, I'm kind of in a box right now. Well, one of the things I always encourage, people to do who I encounter who are getting started or just feel like they've plateaued, check out some of these different groups, because when you are able to learn from others just from looking at their pictures or their recipe, it's like, oh wow, so I can get creative with this, I can get creative with that. Like, I'm sure Maisha can attest to this. This wasn't something that happened overnight. I mean, it was some trial and error. And you know
Mm-hmm.
finally, got my staple ingredients I keep in the cabinet and in the refrigerator. And, I have my, a few staple meals that I like to, go to during the week, especially when it gets hectic. But for the most part, I feel like there is no structure, because there is no structure with this eating
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
The prior lifestyle, it was in my mind, oh, I need to have a meat, a starch, and a vegetable. Whereas
Oh
now
my
it's just
gosh,
like, just
yes.
eat. Just eat. You
That's
can have as many
right.
vegetables as you want on your plate. I mean, today, I think I had 6, 7, 8 vegetables. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
who cares? So that is what I would encourage people to, keep in mind. And then obviously those groups that I suggested, check them out.
I am excited. I think what I'm going to do is a personal challenge. And for you guys out there who are listening and you are interested in an alkaline vegan lifestyle and a way of eating, I would challenge just a once a week, just try to find something fun and make up something. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to, like you said, Wende, just have fun with it and just eat. There's no rules to this, and just be creative. I think this is a way to just, this is therapeutic. Being in the kitchen can be
Mm-hmm.
therapy for some people, and it's just a way to just be creative and obviously a way to be healthy. So I am super excited. I thank you, ladies, so much for joining me, and
You're welcome.
you are just wonderful. I love you all. I admire you from afar. I really do just watch and see what you're going to come up with next, because I'm just that interested in what you're doing. So I thank you again, and I hope that you guys have a great week.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you.
Aw, thank you.
Well, that's another amazing episode in the books. I appreciate you stopping by and listening, because I do this for you. Now, it's your turn to join the conversation. Please weigh in on this episode by visiting organizedenergy.co/podcast and do two things. One, leave a written or audio comment or questions regarding today's conversation. And two, let your voice be heard by casting your vote in this week's poll based on this episode. And now that we're family, let's stay connected. Still, go to that same link, organizedenergy.co/podcast. And join my Love Shine community, Why love shine? Because it's all about love and it's all about light over here at the Life Unscripted podcast. Or you can find me on your own simply by visiting Facebook. You'll go to Organized Energy Consulting, find our community and groups, and then join the Life Unscripted podcast after party. Also on Instagram, find me at Life Unscripted Podcast. On Twitter, it's Life Unscripted P. And show a little love by sharing this episode with a friend or two or three. Speaking of showing love, before I get out of here, I gotta remind you of something. I want you to always remember that self-love is one of the best forms of love, because no matter who comes, who goes, no matter who chooses you, who doesn't, who forgives you and who doesn't, who values you and who doesn't, so long as you choose you and you love you and you see value in you and you take time each and every day to celebrate yourself. Take time right now and write this love note to yourself. And not only do I want you to write it daily, but I want you to recite it daily in the mirror. Repeat after me. So you say your name and I'm going to say mine. Dear Tiffany, I love you. I forgive you. I accept you. I choose you. You have worth. You have purpose. You have value. You matter to me, and you matter to God. My words, my thoughts, my decisions today will prove this. Tiffany, you're already winning. You are already blessed. Keep going. Do not give up, because the very best is yet to come. All right, Love Shines. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Time is a commodity, and once it's spent, we can never get it back. So I truly appreciate you spending just a little bit of yours with me. That's a wrap. Until next time, I want you to know that I love you. I'm praying for you, and I want nothing but blessings, love, and light for you and yours. Have a great week, guys. Hi. Do you feel like you have way too much on your plate to get accomplished and very little time to get it all done? Is anxiety like on 1,000 right now? Take a deep breath and woosah, and then reach out to me, because I am a trusted confidant and accountability partner, and I can help you master time management and work-life balance as a professional. And because I specialize in helping to develop brands and the professionals behind them, I could also help you with your small business. So whether you're still in the conceptual stages of the business, or you're trying to figure out exactly how to launch, how to brand it, how to market it, how to look good, and how to operate efficiently so that you're working smarter and not harder, I'm still your girl. For more information about how I can help you, find me at organizedenergy.co, where I am helping to develop brands and the professionals behind them. It is awesome to listen to my show, but wouldn't it be amazing if you could launch your very own? Go from listening to launching when you pick up my new book called Is This Thing On? The Super Simple Guide to Planning, Launching, and Scaling Your Podcast. And of course, it was written by a podcaster for new and aspiring podcasters. Building a brand and operating a business can get a little hectic sometimes. I mean, there's a million things to do and you only have 2 hands, but not to fret. I've got some goodies for you. I want you to visit organizedenergy.co/spill the tea. organizedenergy.co/spill the tea. I have curated a list of some of the favorite tools and resources that I use as I operate my business that have been amazing for me. They have helped me to save time. They have helped me to build my team. They have helped me to stay connected with my people. And I absolutely love so many of these tools. I want to share them with you, and it's free to download. So again, go to organizedenergy.co/spill-the-tea so that I can help you get started working smarter and not harder.